I've been very blessed with a great life. I mean, poker has blessed me with amazing things. I wouldn't trade my life in for anyone. I've been really, really lucky.
Phil Ivey may be the greatest poker player in the world and is worth millions.
How many hands I missed?
He plays or wagers on just about anything, from golf and basketball to craps and baccarat.
I know him to be a sharp.
You know him to be?
A sharp. He's a very sharp player. He's a guy you just don't want in your joint. He's very, very smart.
And very, very intense, as we saw firsthand when we asked him about accusations that he cheated 2 casinos out of over $20 million.
It's one of the most memorable sports profiles ever done by 60 Minutes. Ed Bradley and Derek Jeter at the height of the captain's career.
Every year from the time he was 14 until he graduated from high school, Derek had to sign a contract drawn up by his father, including no arguing, no alcohol and drugs, and a promise to respect girls. What happened if you violated one of the clauses in the contract?
I didn't. I was pretty good. I was always afraid of disappointing my parents.
And then a conversation with 2 people who know Derek Jeter as well as anyone, as 60 Minutes Sports looks at the future Hall of Famer's career, both on and off the field.
A short distance from the harbor town of Kinsale is Sandy Cove Island. On day 1, Dennison brought his swimmers here to the camp's ocean base. He calls the island magical and the water lucky. A mile around, its unpredictable conditions mimic the English Channel.
We have temperature variations of 8 or 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So when you've rounded the first corner and the temperature's absolutely dropped, you're likely to get into much rougher water.
A few hours in these frigid seas left swimmers shivering, their faces blue. It looked less like Ireland in summer than the sideline of Lambeau Field in winter.
You tend to get the claw.
The claw?
Yeah, it's called the claw, the swimmer's claw, from swimming in the cold so much, but I find...
And this is fun?
Yeah.
I'm Scott Pelley.
I'm Armin Katayan.
I'm James Brown.
I'm Sharon Alfonsi. Those stories on this edition of 60 Minutes Sports.
In the secretive world of high-stakes gambling, Phil Ivey is the highest of rollers. He's young, handsome, rich, and very private. He rarely gives interviews. Poker is his game of choice, and after winning his 10th career championship bracelet at the World Series of Poker this summer, he is arguably the best in the world. But Ivey plays other casino games as well, and his success at the game of baccarat has led to allegations of cheating and lawsuits with 2 of the largest casinos in the world, which is why he has decided to break his silence and speak out now to 60 Minutes Sports. Ivey is known for his incredible intensity at the poker table, and it was no surprise that he had the same focus in our interview. As the biggest name in gambling, he is facing the biggest challenge of a career that has always had the Midas touch.
I've been very blessed with a great life. I mean, poker has blessed me with amazing things. I wouldn't trade my life in for anyone. I've been really, really lucky.
It's a typical day for Phil Ivey. He hops into his Rolls Royce for the drive from his home to the Las Vegas Strip. 20 minutes later, the best poker player in the world is ushered through the back entrance of the casino. Because if he went through the front door, he would be mobbed by fans.
I'm just ready to go. Ready to get that first hand in the air.
Just get it on, huh?
Get this grind going. You know?
And then into his sanctuary, a packed ballroom where he will compete in the World Series of Poker.
How many hands I missed?
Ivey is settling in for another 14-hour day of poker in the annual 7-week tournament. It's a routine he has mastered for most of his adult life. When did you realize you were good?
I realized I was good at poker somewhere around 16 or 17, but I figured out that I could be really good at it when I was, I would say, 21.
Ivey grew up a world away from his home overlooking the Las Vegas Strip in the working-class town of Roselle, New Jersey. He was part of a large, close-knit family headed by his grandfather.
Everybody always went to my grandfather. If they ever needed anything, needed money, needed help, needed someone to talk to. He had his own business. I learned a lot from him.
He learned a lot indeed. His grandfather introduced him to poker at the age of 8, after Ivey accidentally walked into a private game in the back room of his local barbershop.
Saw some guys back there with cards, they were smoking cigars, playing poker, they had money on the table. So I told my grandfather, I said, what were they doing? He said, oh, they were playing poker. I said, can you teach me how to do that? Teach me how to play? So we got the penny jar out. He showed me how to play. The first game I played was 5-card stud.
Ivey became obsessed with gambling, and soon, as a young high schooler, he was heading down to Atlantic City on the weekends.
I think I was 15, 16, somewhere around there.
And you're supposed to be how old?
21. And I'm not encouraging this, but I got a hold of a fake ID, and I started playing down there in the casinos. I would take a bus down, playing in different casinos, play blackjack, play craps, play poker, and, mostly lose. I'll build up some money. I had a job at McDonald's, win some money, go down on the weekends, play, lose my money, and go back in, go to work, do it again.
Ivey went by the name Jerome, and he became known in Atlantic City as the black kid who played poker all day long. After he graduated high school, gambling became his full-time passion, much to his parents' chagrin.
They hated it. They didn't want me playing poker. They wanted me to go to college and go that direction in life. But, I love to play poker. I still do. It's something I just was attracted to from the very beginning. And that's all I wanted to do. And that's all I did. I played poker 15, 16 hours a day for like 10 years.
Phil Ivey shot to international fame. By 25, he won 4 World Series of Poker bracelets. By 30, he became a brand with lots of endorsements. And today, at 37, he resides on top of the gambling world, with homes in Las Vegas, Cabo San Lucas, and Macau.
The corner phrase, you're young, you're gifted, you're black, highly successful, the whole 9 yards. Has race been a factor at all?
Has race been a factor? No. Not in poker. In poker, they only see one color, that's green.
According to a website that tracks poker earnings, Phil Ivey has won over $21 million in official poker tournaments during his career. Of course, that does not include earnings from various side bets, private games, endorsements, and investments.
For Phil Ivey, it's good to be Phil Ivey.
But right now, Ivey is facing the biggest challenge of his career. The game in question is Baccarat, a game made famous in James Bond movies.
I admire your luck, Mr.
Bond. James Bond.
Similar to blackjack, the goal is to get to 9 instead of 21. 2 casinos accuse Ivey of cheating them out of over $20 million while playing Baccarat.
Once you get cheater next to your name, especially in my business, which is the business of gambling, it's really bad. That's the worst thing that you could be labeled as. And casinos have a tendency to label cheater. They take cheating and advantage play as the same thing, when it's a big, big difference.
Advantage play is the term for any number of strategies used by players to exploit weaknesses in the house. It is an accepted practice among gamblers, but discouraged by casinos. Phil Ivey says he did nothing wrong, but his accusers say he did, and are 2 of the largest casinos in the world, the Borgata in Atlantic City and Crockford's in London. At the Borgata, Ivey won $9.6 million while playing Baccarat over 4 months in 2012. Over the course of 2 days in August of that year, Ivey won over £7.5 million, or about $12 million, at Crockford's. The Borgata paid Ivey, but is now suing to get its money back. Crockford's withheld Ivey's winnings, and he is suing them in a British court.
They spend millions and millions of dollars on game protection, and it's their job to protect their game. And I'm viewing the casino as my opponent. It's my job to try to exploit weaknesses in the house and try to give myself the best opportunity to win.
We asked for interviews with both casinos, but they turned us down, citing the ongoing legal cases. But a look at the lawsuits show that both casinos accuse Ivey of something called edge sorting, an old but sophisticated way of reading the back of the cards. In high-stakes gambling, edge sorting is not illegal, but casinos have the right to ban people known as advantage players because of their skill.
I wouldn't let Phil Ivey play slots in a place I was working at.
You wouldn't let him play?
Hell no.
Jim Hartley is a gambling expert with over 25 years of experience helping Las Vegas casinos protect themselves against cheats and advantage players alike.
Edge sorting is simply taking advantage of imperfectly cut casino cards. The, quote, imperfection is right along here.
Here's how it works. During the production process of cutting casino cards, the cuts of the edges are not identical, making it possible for a trained eye to identify certain cards by their edge designs.
Edge sorting's not easy. It's difficult.
Not easy.
It's not easy.
Even for the advantage player.
Even for the advantage player.
Hartley says the casinos have a complicated relationship with high rollers like Phil Ivey. The casino grants the player certain privileges, and the player agrees to make large bets. Each side is looking to take the other's money.
That's what they do. So if you come in and we say, oh, we'd love to have you gamble in our casino, man. You're on TV. Oh, it'd be awesome. We'll give you a suite and, we'll pick you up at the airport and your rooms, food, beverage, everything's on us. Here's tickets to the fight this weekend. But we want you to put, you got to play blackjack. You got to bet $5,000 a hand. You got to play 20 hours.
In Phil Ivey's cases, he anteed up big dollars to play baccarat.
How much money did you wire to the Crockfords in London?
I wired £1 million.
And to the Borgata in Atlantic City?
$3 million US.
A significant amount of money.
That's correct. That was one of the reasons why they granted all the requests that I made, because I wired the money up front. And they knew they had an opportunity to win, a decent amount of money.
Phil Ivey readily admits to edge sorting, but it's the requests that he made at both casinos that are at the crux of the cases. He asked for several conditions that would enable him to read the back of the cards better, including using a specific brand of cards and playing with the same decks of cards for all of his games.
I made a request for a shuffle machine.
Okay. Why did you want that particular shuffle machine?
Because I wanted the cards to remain in a certain order.
And they agreed to that?
And they agreed to that, yes.
Second request?
I requested an Asian dealer.
And the reason you wanted an Asian dealer?
The Asians deal Punto and Banco the most, which is baccarat. I felt more comfortable with the Asian dealer. My companion was Asian.
And your companion, you mentioned, was Asian. And the reason that was important to you?
Because she was a part of my strategy. She was a part of my strategy and giving me the ability to execute this advantage play of mine.
And she could communicate, I'm assuming, with the dealer as well, too, who spoke Mandarin.
Sure.
And the casino agreed to these requests?
The casinos agreed to every request made.
In both lawsuits, the casinos mention Ivey's Asian companion. Her name is Chen Yen Sun. She is a known advantage player who has been banned from other casinos in the past because of her expertise in edge sorting. The Borgata and Crockfords claim Sun spoke in Mandarin to the dealers and instructed them to turn cards so that she and Ivey could identify them.
They don't like the way she plays. It's a competitive business. They don't want you coming in there winning their money. They want to win, just like I do. So if you're an advantage player, just like you're a card counter, they ask you not to play.
So casinos have that right to say you can't play in our casino?
Yeah, they have the right to say we don't want your business.
But they did not say that at Crockford's about your companion, Ms. Sun?
No, they allowed her to play.
Nor at the Borgata in Atlantic City?
Nor at the Borgata.
They agreed again to all of your requests?
Once again, they agreed to all my requests.
So, Phil, in your mind, how much of an advantage did your successful effort at edge sorting give you?
I had somewhere around a 5 or 6% advantage. And guess what? I still could have lost.
But in all fairness, to be candid about it, even the slightest advantage to someone with your skill level can be pretty significant.
Sure, sure. And that's why I was in there.
And the thing with Phil is, I know him to be a sharp.
You know him to be?
A sharp. He's a very sharp player. He's a guy you just don't want in your joint. He's very, very smart, and, he's got an edge, period.
Both casinos allege that Ivey was not forthright in his reasons for making the requests and say that he led them to believe the requests were based on superstition. But Phil Ivey maintains he did nothing wrong.
If I make a request and the house grants it, then how could that be cheating? That's me making a request to give myself an advantage, you granting it, saying it's okay.
The casinos are saying that there is an implied contract, an agreement between the player, the advantage player, you and the house, that you're going to play by fair rules, and that the fact that you did not divulge that the cards had a defect, in effect, was illegal, improper. You broke that implied contractual agreement.
I disagree, and that's why we're going to court. Cheating is using a device or using having information available that both parties aren't privy to. Then that could be considered cheating. But having an advantage over a casino, like such as card counting or edge sorting or ace sequencing, is perfectly legal play. I haven't found one expert, not one expert, that hasn't said that what I did was perfectly legal.
We contacted several game protection experts for interviews, but most declined, claiming conflicts of interest with international casinos they work for. Jim Hartley was the only expert to talk to us on camera. He agrees with Ivey and says the Borgata and Crockfords have no one to blame but themselves.
He made him look bad. You know, he played him for a chump. You know, and they looked at it and they said, oh, shit, what are we going to do? You know, so they went back after their money.
Because Phil Ivey is maintaining he did absolutely nothing wrong, that his requests were part of his advantage play strategy.
Correct.
Does that sound reasonable?
It's exactly what it was.
So at the end of the day, did Phil Ivey do anything illegal in your mind?
Did the New Jersey State Police arrest him?
No.
No, they did not. So my answer is the same as the New Jersey State Police. I do not believe that that was cheating. He did not alter the elements of chance. He didn't alter his wager. He didn't mark the cards. He did not physically do anything. They did it for him. Okay, and that's the way most scams work, right?
Now, some people might react adversely to the use of the word scam.
Yeah, I don't consider the word scam bad. So
At the heart of the matter is whether Phil Ivey's scam is cheating or fair play. Ivey is waiting for a New Jersey judge to decide on the Borgata suit, and this month his case against Crockford is being heard in a London court. He could lose his money and his reputation.
Some people believe that it was cheating. I know it wasn't. The professional gamblers know it's not. I wouldn't do anything close to cheating. I mean, my reputation is everything in gambling. To risk my reputation over winning some money, I would not do that.
At the end of the day, in your mind, you did absolutely nothing wrong, nothing illegal.
Absolutely, 100%. I did nothing wrong and nothing illegal.
Joe DiMaggio wore number 5, Lou Gehrig number 4, the great Babe Ruth number 3, and now number 2 will never play ball at Yankee Stadium again. Derek Jeter ended his career there with a bang, not a whimper. A game-winning hit in the bottom of the ninth that meant nothing in the standings, but everything to his legions of fans and admirers. He was the 1996 Rookie of the Year, 14-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner, and 6th on the all-time hit list. Jeter is honored not just for all he did on the field, but for how he has handled fame and fortune in a world in which superstars often flame out. 8 years ago, our late colleague Ed Bradley spent some time with the captain and saw firsthand what made Jeter worthy of all the praise. We recently had a look at that story and found it so enlightening, we decided to show it again now. And joining us to watch are two people who know him extremely well. Michael Kay, the TV voice of the Yankees and the Yes Network, and former Yankee first baseman who won 4 world championships alongside Jeter, and one of his closest friends, Tino Martinez. And look, we can understand why Yankee fans hold him in such high regard, but what about the opponents, other team stars? What do they think about Jeter?
Well, they all want to know, how does he never get in trouble? You know, living in New York and being Rookie of the Year and all that fame he's had, and he just lives his life the right way. He has a good time off the field with his friends and his family, but he knows where to draw the line and what's right and what's wrong, and he's lived that way his whole life.
Michael Kay has been covering Jeter his entire career, and there was a time when reporters and writers traveled with the players, and certainly they knew the other side of him. What is it about Derek Jeter that makes him so different?
I think it's his parents. I mean, that seems simple, but I remember when he got drafted, they brought him to Yankee Stadium, and they brought him up to the radio booth. And it's this skinny, tall kid. He looked very, very young, and you couldn't really tell anything. He seemed shy, but that's pretty much how he's remained, very withdrawn. And I remember the next day I went down, and I talked to the Yankee manager, Buck Showalter. I said, well, what do you think about this kid? He said, well, the scouts say he's going to be a good player. I'll tell you one thing, though. He will never, ever embarrass the Yankees. I said, why do you say that? He goes, because I met his parents. Special. He said he'll never embarrass them, the Jeter name, or the New York Yankee organization. So that was 20 years ago, and Showalter was right on the money.
You've seen so many great players. What about his on-the-field play distinguishes him from others?
Well, Joe Torre once told me that, and I've heard this about Michael Jordan too, and Wayne Gretzky, that when the game speeds up, those guys have it slowed down. It slows down for them. Derek never made the moment too big, and he embraced every big moment. He didn't run away from it. He would say he wants the ball hit to him in the 7th game of the World Series. A lot of guys don't want it. They don't want any part of it. Not afraid of anything. And the best thing I could say about Derek, which it might not come off as a compliment, he's the greatest player I've ever seen that is not great at any one thing. So it's just the sum of the parts that makes him awesome.
And certainly a very appropriate question to ask you, being such a close friend. What worked that you two clicked?
Well, my first year with the New York Yankees was his rookie year. And on the road trips, he didn't have anybody to go to lunch with. So him and I started going to lunch together. And we just talked about, being in the big leagues. And I had been in the big leagues 5 years already. So I was just trying to give him some ideas, how to handle the media, the fans, what to expect. And he was prepared for it, though. He was prepared for it because his parents raised him that way. Nothing overwhelmed him, the media, the fame. And I just was there for him. I didn't do anything specific. He just trusted me as a friend and knew that I wasn't going to talk about him or say things about him that he didn't want to be said outside of the locker room.
So with that in mind, you guys have set the stage. Let's take a look at this outstanding 60 Minutes profile of Derek, shot at the height of his career.
It's a blast. When you win, it's fun. When you lose, it's magnified.
And the 3-2 pitch. Swung on a drill to right field. Going back Sanders on the track, at the wall. A home run by Derek Jeter.
Derek Jeter's uncanny ability to make the big play, especially when the game or the season is on the line, has defined his 10 years with the Yankees.
Derek Jeter has won the game for the Yankees.
He does it with his bat and with his glove, catching the uncatchable.
Oh, what a play by Derek Jeter.
Surmounting obstacles with his trademark combination of nonchalance and relentlessness. No play says more about Derek Jeter than this one. The now legendary diving catch he made last year.
Jeter on the run, makes the play, and flies into the stands.
Placing his body, not to mention his $20 million a year salary, at risk.
When I was catching that ball, I knew I was going to fall in the stands because I was too close, but I figured if I jump over the photographer's pit, maybe I'll run into someone and feel a little bit better. But
cushion the fall.
Yeah, 57,000 people, I picked the seat that no one was in. So that didn't feel too good either.
He's had this desire, this passion for baseball since the age of 6, when he told his parents that he would one day play shortstop for the New York Yankees.
I was born in New Jersey, grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And I'm going around telling everyone I'm going to play for the New York Yankees. And I think a lot of people, a lot of parents maybe would tell their kids, put some real thoughts in your head.
Jeter's parents, Charles and Dorothy, are his most devoted fans. Dorothy is a former accountant, and Charles, who played shortstop in college, is now a clinical social worker. Derek never starts a game until he finds where his parents are seated.
They know I'm looking. They know I'm trying to find them. It's just something I've always done since Little League.
And as soon as he spots his mom, he says hi.
We communicate. Sometimes, he'll just stick his head up and go like that. That means he's going to try to hit a home run. I shouldn't give that away, should I?
No. Play, Derek. All right. Nice play, huh? He reminds you of you at shortstop?
Yeah, a little bit, He doesn't have the defensive abilities to have, but he...
You were pretty competitive in your house growing up, from what your father tells me, at everything.
It's his fault. That's his fault. He used to beat me at everything we played. I remember I was going to afternoon kindergarten, and we used to watch The Price is Right. Now I'm 5 years old, and he used to beat me at the Showcase Showdown and send me to school.
But what would a 5-year-old kid know about the price of things that you see on television like that?
I don't. It made him feel good. You know, he'd win and then send me on my way.
If he didn't win, he didn't win.
What were you trying to teach him?
Just teach him, to be competitive, and nobody's going to let you win anything. It's not going to be fair all the time.
Yeah, I think the lesson is things don't come easy. You're going to have to work at it.
And work at it he did. Every year from the time he was 14 until he graduated from high school, Derek had to sign a contract drawn up by his father. He would be permitted to play baseball only if he complied with all 18 clauses, including no arguing, no alcohol and drugs, and a promise to respect girls.
What happened if you violated one of the clauses in the contract?
I didn't. I was pretty good. I was always afraid of disappointing my parents.
So who do you think was tougher to negotiate with when it came to a contract, your father or George Steinbrenner?
The boss.
The boss?
The boss is definitely harder to deal with.
Yankee boss and owner George Steinbrenner chose Derek Jeter right out of high school as his #1 draft pick in 1992 and paid him $800,000. As a lonesome 18-year-old kid who'd never been away from home, Jeter didn't get off to a flying start. He made 56 errors in his first minor league season.
I was actually at shortstop, I think, 2 weeks into the season saying, it's a true story, maybe they won't hit me another ball the rest of the year. Sure enough, they hit the next one to me, and I missed it.
And today, if the score is 3-2 and you're ahead, 2 outs, the bottom of the ninth, the bases are loaded, you want the guy to hit the ball to you.
Yeah, hit it to me.
So how did you get from there to here?
It's a lot of work. Yeah, I work extremely hard, and I like to be involved, I like to be in the middle of things, and I'm not afraid to fail.
Along the way, Derek Jeter has learned some tough lessons as the son of an African-American father and Irish-American mother. He says that he and his younger sister, Charlie, were teased and taunted as kids for being biracial. Jeter says it even continued after he had been drafted #1 by the Yankees and returned to Kalamazoo for a homecoming celebration.
It was disappointing because I was very proud of the fact of what I was able to do. I'm living my dream, come back, see my friends for the first time, and you still had to deal with ignorance.
They threw the N-word at you?
Yeah.
That stayed with you?
Oh, yeah. I think, just because of the moment. It's not the first time I had heard it. It's just I was so proud to come back. I think it was the first day I was back.
And do you hear that from the stands?
No, fortunately, no, I haven't. I think when I came up, people didn't know what race I was. Most people thought I was Spanish. So, I'd go up to hit or be on deck. People would be speaking Spanish to me. I had no idea what they were saying.
Are you Derek Jeter?
Sometimes.
These days, Derek Jeter is treated like royalty by the fans.
I'll be your friend.
And he treats them as if he truly appreciates their adulation.
No problem.
Derek, please.
In New York, a city usually unfazed by celebrities, Jeter is hardly able to walk the streets without being mobbed.
Go get him, Derek.
Hey, how are you, son?
Thank you.
When are you getting married?
We're going to the game tonight, too.
June.
June what?
June 4th.
Congratulations.
In the time it takes him to order a Java chip frappuccino, Jeter poses for 8 photos.
Where's everybody getting all these camera phones?
Oh, my God, I love you.
Shakes 5 hands,
All right, my man.
and signs 7 autographs. As gracious as he is with the fans, Jeter says he's been wary of people since he was a kid.
I wish I trusted people more, but I think when I meet someone, the first thing is, what does this person want? And you put up a defense mechanism, and I've always been that way.
Do you ever feel that you can let your guard down?
Once I get to know you, we do a couple more interviews, I'll let it down with you.
You could start that right now.
This is 31 years in the making. I don't think it's going to change today.
When he is not playing baseball, Derek Jeter is still a player, one of the most eligible bachelors in New York. He's dated singer Mariah Carey, a Miss Universe, and an assortment of models and actresses. But he says he has yet to find Miss Right.
In your book, you said you worry about who you're going to marry.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, you're right about that. I am worried about that.
You don't think there's someone out there for you?
No question. Oh, yeah. There's someone out there.
One of these days.
One of these days. That's all I'm going to give you on that.
Well, listen, your father said soon. Your mother said, so I think he's going to settle down soon.
They got me going down soon, huh? It probably will be sooner than later.
Derek Jeter also shows up in fashion spreads and the gossip columns almost as often as the sports pages. And while he enjoys the nightlife, that has gotten him into some hot water with his boss, George Steinbrenner.
You've been mostly complimentary about Derek throughout his career, except for that one flap 3 years ago.
Yeah.
What did you say about him then?
He better pay more attention to the ball game than he does the women.
He was out late at a birthday party?
Yeah, very late.
But he says it's a birthday party, it's once a year.
But it's during the season, see? And I want him completely devoted to the team during the season.
He's told me that every year I've been there for the last 10 years. You know, we had a little fun with it when we made the Visa commercial.
I hear you're out dancing, eating, and just carousing with your friends. Is it true you're going out every night?
Absolutely not.
Good.
Hey, Derek, we are running late. Sorry.
Did it motivate you? I mean, when he criticized you for that?
No, I don't need any extra motivation. My motivation is to win.
The Rookie of the Year at age 22, who is now destined for the Hall of Fame, he's mastered the game. His eye always on the ball.
All of the people we've talked to, your parents, your sister, your teammates, the manager.
What teammates did you talk to?
Your friends.
All right.
They say that you have your priorities straight. What do you think they mean by that?
I know how I want to treat people. I know how I want to be treated. And I enjoy life. You know, you got to have fun. You know, I have fun every single day. And the #1 priority is to be a good person. And I've always tried to be that.
Fellas, I'm watching the both of you as you looked at this piece. Open-ended question. How did you react to it? What did you see?
Well, I thought it was great. That's just typical Derek Jeter right there. You get the serious part of him and the fun part of him. You see how he interacts with the fans and the people that love him. And then you get to see how he dealt with George Steinbrenner and that type of side of him as well. So he can be serious at times, but yet he's a great guy and a lot of fun.
As I turn to Michael Kay, I got to tell you something a little bit personally here because, like me, it took a little while to get married. So when you think about it, here's a guy who's handled himself so well up until the point that he still is not married, but you did get married. Remarkable the way he's handled that?
It is pretty amazing, and you know, Tino's seen a side of Derek that I don't see because Tino's a very close friend of his off the field. And Derek with the media will never really get into personal issues that much, but when I was getting married and then when I had a baby, Derek really wanted to know about that stuff.
Oh?
I mean, he really, what's it like? I mean, what's it like? Does it change your life? How's the baby? Does it change your life? And those conversations led me to believe that it might happen. I don't want to get people nervous now, but it might happen shortly because I think he's interested in that. And I think that's one of the reasons why he might be stepping away from baseball too. Maybe a year sooner than he had to, maybe 2 years sooner. But the fact is, I think he's ready for that next step in life.
I was about to ask you, were you surprised at how open he was?
Yes, I was a little bit surprised. And then you watch him, and obviously he was younger then than he is right now. And the guy who ends up with more hits than anybody in Major League Baseball except for 5 players. Only 5 players in Major League history have had more hits than him. And, you know, you see behind the scenes, I think it was a great piece because you kind of got a sense of what he's about.
Hey, fellas, a very serious topic in terms of domestic violence, which is so much in the news right now, unfortunately, surrounding the NFL. This contract that Derek Jeter signed with his parents, no alcohol, to respect women specifically. Have you noticed that in terms of the way he really is behind closed doors, that there is that respect, Tino?
Absolutely. For both men and women, he respects everybody. But, you know, you saw all the women he's dated and the girls he's been around. Not one of them has ever come out and said anything negative about him or complained about him being in any way a bad person. So to be that single guy in New York all those years and deal with a lot of women on a daily basis, you know, it's been very impressive. And, yes, he signed that contract and he lived up to it.
So he paid more than lip service to wanting to be a good person.
He did, yeah, of course. He's a good person. He's just naturally like that. He's not a false type of guy who says one thing and does the other. He's the way he is. What you see is what you get.
And he said toward the end of the season, which I thought was interesting, he said, everybody asked me, am I putting on an act? He said, it's been 20 years. He said, it would have been exposed already. He said, there's no way that I could hide it for 20 years. This is the person that I am, and that's him. I mean, really, what you see is what you get.
Michael Kay, Yankees broadcaster, thank you so much for your insight. And Tino Martinez, great baseball player himself, thank you so very much for your insight.
I'm Jeff Glora of CBS News with an update now on a story we brought you last month about Formula E, the new electric car racing championship. As the series prepared for its first ever race, its CEO Alejandro Agag told us about the potential danger of mixing high speeds and battery-powered cars.
If we have a normal accident, two drivers just crash against each other and just, that's fine. And nobody will worry about that. If somebody gets electrocuted, everybody will say, see, I told you electric is dangerous, electric, blah, blah, blah.
If somebody gets electrocuted?
Yeah. You put your finger in this battery, you're gone.
You're gone.
650 volts.
At Formula E's debut race, held on the streets of Beijing, the two race leaders, Nicolas Prost and Nick Heidfeld, did crash on the last lap.
Contact, and they're both off!
But there was no battery issue. No one was electrocuted, and both drivers walked away.
A dramatic end to the race.
This allowed Brazil's Lucas de Grassi to take the first ever Formula E victory.
I'm very glad that Heidfeld is okay, and the car proved to be very safe.
Now crash tested, Formula E's debut season will roll on. Now a story that has nothing to do with man-made innovations. It is just man against nature. Open water swimming is one of the most dangerous and unheralded endurance sports in the world, taking the body to the edge in conditions some describe as madness. Among the obstacles, sharks, poisonous jellyfish, violent seas, hypothermia, and physical agony beyond comprehension. Without wetsuits, swimmers brave the planet's coldest waters, sometimes for up to 20 hours. Their only armor, goggles and a swim cap. There are no spectators, no parades. It's just you against the water. The English Channel is the Mount Everest of marathon swimming. Every summer, swimmers who dream of crossing it come to a tiny island off the coast of Ireland to train. The Cork Distance Week has been called the most brutal open water camp of its kind. Invitation only and not for the faint-hearted, it's the brainchild of an American expatriate. If you're looking for a torture swim, then Ned Dennison is your man.
Come on, pick it up! Come on, Trevor, give us a lap around the boat. Get in there, dig harder. Come on, Lindsay, this is your year.
They came from around the world, doctors, teachers, and homemakers. Swimmers of all ages, shapes, and sizes.
Good swim, well done.
Somebody might be faster than you, might be bigger, taller, shorter, slimmer, it doesn't really matter. This is a sport where it's about getting there.
G'day. Steve Payne.
Steve Payne is a firefighter who's tried to swim the English Channel 6 times and failed.
You're the toughest man in the world.
Desperate, he came all the way from Australia, convinced that the Celtic Sea and Ned Dennison could prepare him.
How much does this mean to you? Everything.
Take your mark!
For 9 grueling days, Dennison led more than 60 swimmers down city rivers and up narrow streams, through rapids and remote lakes, along Ireland's dramatic cliffs and out to open sea.
Something in the human psyche loves this test. They seek it out, they want it, they want the challenge.
In all, they swam nearly 40 hours over 60 miles. Since 2009, 46 of Dennison's swimmers have gone on to conquer the 21 miles from England to France.
What is it about the English Channel?
It's epic, it's mythical.
Good luck.
It's ugly, it's tough. I just want you to all close your eyes, and I want to give you some real examples of what people have enjoyed in these big swims. You swim to 200 meters from France, and there's a bank of fog so thick that the captain says, we can't go in. Oh, by the way, the wind just picked up. You're cold, you're tired, everything hurts. You can cry for your mommy, you can get out, or you can keep swimming.
A short distance from the harbor town of Kinsale is Sandy Cove Island. On day one, Dennison brought his swimmers here to the camp's ocean base. He calls the island magical and the water lucky. A mile around, its unpredictable conditions mimic the English Channel.
We have temperature variations of a lap around the island of 8 or 10 degrees Fahrenheit. So when you've rounded the first corner and the temperature's absolutely dropped, you're likely to get into much rougher water. Sometimes it's like a washing machine.
A washing machine set to cold, with temperatures as low as 50 degrees.
If you pour a cold bath right to the top, that'll be warmer than it is in here.
If you spend too long in cold open water, what can happen, worst case scenario?
You get hypothermia. The warmth goes into the core of your body, and at some point, if there's no more warmth, your organs start failing and you die.
To avoid hypothermia and survive the 12 to 15 hours on average it takes to cross the channel, swimmers spend hundreds of hours acclimating to icy waters. A few hours in these frigid seas left swimmers shivering, their faces blue. It looked less like Ireland in summer than the sideline of Lambeau Field in winter.
You tend to get the claw.
The claw?
Yeah, it's called the claw, the swimmer's claw, from swimming in the cold so much, but I find...
And this is fun.
Yeah.
I'm cold right now.
In the channel, wetsuits are officially banned. So to appreciate what these swimmers endure, I took the plunge.
All right, the water's gonna feel cold to start with. Once you get in, if you move your arms, the first 11 strokes will not be cold. Then it will hit you. We're gonna head straight out here. Ready? Yeah.
The cold instantly crushes you.
Holy shit! I'm impressed. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. This is a warm day. God, it's like when it hits your face. You can't even breathe. You cannot breathe. Oh.
Swimmers spend 4 hours a day in these waters. I lasted 4 minutes.
First time's horrible. Second time's not much better. The third time, your body and your brain are sort of getting used to it.
Ned Dennison has swum around Sandy Cove over 1,200 times. At 6'6", with the wingspan of an albatross, he is a legend in the world of marathon swimming.
He's fierce, and I like that. He owns the water. The water's parked in front of him.
The Lord has risen. He walks on water.
By day, this open water guru works in IT sales, but his mind is never far from the sea. His walls are lined with charts of his global swims, from the English Channel to a stretch in South Africa full of great white sharks.
You're swimming at night and your hand hits something, and it doesn't move away, or it swims away. At night, in the dark, when you're all alone, when you've been out there for 12 hours and you're tired and you're lonely and something just moved, you better be pretty strong mentally. It's 90% up here and in here. It's, do you have what it takes? I do not understand swimming. I've never taken a swimming class.
Well, you don't understand swimming?
I don't coach swimming technique at all. I am a motivator. I'm a seriously dangerous motivator.
And Dennison, how are you, man?
And a generous one. For Dennison, the camp is a passion project.
Nervous?
No.
Should be.
For all the week's pain, he only charges around $100 to cover his costs.
Swim, Kate, swim! When they're in the water and we're doing everything possible to make them uncomfortable, I want them to remember that they paid for it.
I'm awaiting further instructions, O Tormentor Supreme.
He's a mentor. He's not quite Yoda, but...
A little bigger than Yoda.
He's a lot bigger than Yoda.
Come on, Anne-Marie, swim!
Anne-Marie Mullally was an unhappy, bored, middle-aged mother of 4 who dreamed of swimming the channel but never thought it possible until Dennison pointed to Sandy Cove and convinced her she could do 1 lap.
I was filled with self-doubt. Can I do this? Could I do a long-distance swim? Ned has always said, go for it, you can do it.
She started to do more frequent laps, and she's now signed up for the English Channel. 20.5 miles left to go. You're doing great. Keep swimming.
You're 48.
Be 49 in September.
4 teenagers.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to swim across the English Channel.
You got it. Yeah, you coming?
At Distance Week, some have already conquered the channel. Others aspire to.
My longest swim was last Friday. I swam Gibraltar. My next challenge is to butter my wife up so she'll let me do something similar again.
The camp lures some of the world's elite marathoners, like Adam Walker.
This is the ultimate challenge of yourself, mentally and physically, because there's nowhere to hide out in the middle of the ocean.
Walker came to prepare for the last of the global swims known as Ocean 7.
Oh, fantastic spot.
The equivalent of climbing's 7 summits. During his quest, he's been escorted by dolphins in New Zealand and stung by a Portuguese man-o'-war in Hawaii.
If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. And all these people lined up at this camp want to be different to everybody else.
Everyone has something to prove, demons to battle. When Alexia O'Mara made it to France last year, she not only fought the channel, but her epilepsy.
So what happens when you have a seizure when you're swimming?
As long as you're conscious, you swim. You know, there is no option other than to carry on swimming.
In marathon swimming, the mind is often more important than the body. Sarah Tunnicliffe doesn't look like an endurance athlete, but she swam the English Channel in just over 16 hours.
I'm very proud. My body got me to France. My broad shoulders, they did 45,000 arm strokes to get me to France. I'm proud of every single little muscle that I've got on my shoulders.
Steve Payne is an Ironman, but in 6 attempts, he's never been able to cross the channel.
You finish 19 Ironmans, and the channel breaks you down.
Yep. You just totally lose every bit of confidence that you had, and you start to doubt your own ability and your own strength and your own resilience.
Payne came to camp hoping to gain the mental toughness for his upcoming 7th attempt.
A couple more laps, you're in France.
That'd be nice.
I'm sure you visualize standing on the beach in France.
Yep.
What does that look like?
I know there's no cheering bands, there's no people waving flags.
But that doesn't matter for you. All that matters is...
Not at all.
Swimming alone, in pairs, or as an armada, each of Dennison's swims is designed to test their resolve and prepare them for the unexpected, because the stakes can be life or death.
You had a swimmer who was here 2 years ago who tried to swim the English Channel just after leaving. What happened?
He suffered a massive heart attack less than a mile from France. Tough. A year later, another woman, not part of our group, died in exactly the same place.
Today, your job's really simple. Follow.
There were mind games throughout the week. On this day, instead of looping around Sandy Cove, Dennison deliberately disoriented them.
Where are you?
What? I have no idea at this precise point exactly where we're going.
There was a swim in a hidden lagoon that turned into powerful rapids. A rescue boat at full throttle struggled to pass through. The swimmers took a different approach.
And you're headed out that way. Let's go.
Dennison saved the worst for last.
Sprint!
There was his infamous torture swim, a punishing 3 hours that pushed swimmers to their limit.
You're the Terminator in the water. Keep swimming, man.
He's really testing us. He's pushing everyone to the brink.
He yelled,
Come on!
teased,
You know you've been in pain most of the week.
and tortured,
You have a half an hour to get...
sending swimmers in opposite directions, and ordered Steve Payne to pull a boat with a rope around his waist.
Mile from France, Steve. Mile from France.
This was a dangerous place.
Watch out for Adam up here.
Boats circled swimmers to kick up waves.
You went round me about 5 times. I was like, seriously, fuck off.
And sprayed them with the motor. Beaten down, their longest test came on the very last day.
3 laps is all we reckon you got to do.
A 6-hour swim to qualify for the English Channel.
Can I have a show of hands of all the ones that completed the 6 hours? Put your hands up. Come on, guys. Well done. A lot of you have got your own goals. Some of them are taking place quite soon. Listen, all the best with all those goals. See, kids?
In the weeks after camp, a number of swimmers set off from Dover, England, including Steve Payne for his 7th Channel attempt.
Why is it that you keep going back?
It's unfinished business. It'll be different this time. It'll be a different story.
In the end, it was not. After 7 hours, only halfway to France, Payne, physically and mentally broken, pulled himself out of the water. He failed, but 6 others triumphed. Another 6 completed a relay, including Anne-Marie Mullally, an achievement they now share with a long line of Denison graduates who conquered the channel by surviving Sandy Cove.
What do you get when you mix a 10-year-old boy, a mountain bike, and fearlessness? You get Jackson Goldstone, a speed sensation from Squamish, British Columbia. You also get the challenge that every parent faces in wanting their child to explore the world without ending up with a lot of broken bones. Jackson's dad, Ron Goldstone, thinks about it all the time while trying to keep up with his son. So here we go, your 60 Minute Sports GoPro Moment of the Month.
As a family, we race BMX together, we ride mountain bikes together. He's got me and his sister and his mom to a point where we have to keep up with him to be a family.
I ride with my dad like every day I'm here. Sometimes on trails I'm faster than him. I believe I can fly. I'm fine.
I know that it's a dangerous place to ride. Okay, I'll just follow you. I don't want him to get hurt, but I don't want to hold him back either. At the end of the day, when we're tired, he looks at me and he says, "Dad, that was the best day ever."
On the next edition of 60 Minute Sports, a look at the epidemic of so-called overuse injuries among young athletes in America. I'm Sharon Alfonsi. Thanks for joining us.